Hi, uh, I contacted you a few days back about a strategy which I have been working on for some time, and but we couldn't talk on Skype, and it's very hard to explain something on emails. So I decided to make this video and trying to explain you. And as you know that I am a very good fan of divergence trading. So any indicator, whatever I use, always try to look for divergences in the market. But while studying the market for, I think, almost more than a year with different divergence setups, what I found that any divergence system or signal will work fantastic in a ranging market when the market is up and down from one support to resistance and then comes back to support and then goes back to another resistance, this kind of market. But whenever there is any panic or there is any fundamental big news in favor of that instrument and market starts trending vigorously, no divergence system will work on those scenarios. Every time you will be caught against the trend, in opposite direction of the trend, if you try to use those divergences, and that will make a lot of losses. So that's why I think that there should be completely two different setups or systems for a range market as well and for a trend market, because market can only exist in two states: either it is ranging or it is trending, irrespective of the direction wherever it is going. So if we can segregate these two phases of the market, now it is very hard to know. Everyone in the world is actually looking to know that when the market is trending and when it is ranging. So not possible at all to know, otherwise it will be a holy grail system. But somehow with some approximation, if we can measure, if we can differentiate between these two phases of market, when it is trending and when it is just about to start a new fresh trend, if we can differentiate between these two, then we can apply two different systems in these two scenarios. So for example, when we identify a ranging market, a beginning of a ranging market, so from that period till the next fresh trend starts, we can apply a divergence trading strategy. And when a trend starts, we can forget about the divergence system and start concentrating on the trend following strategy and let the trend following strategy benefit from that trend. And again, when the trend ends, whether it is quickly or whether it lasts for some time, when it ends and comes back to the ranging market phase, we can switch over to the divergence strategy. So let me explain it here. For example, this is one indicator I came across. I think I have shared with you as well. This SRS Trend Rider. This is supposed to be a trend trading system, but what I'm finding that it works excellently as a divergence indicator as well. But again, all depends on at which state market it is, because price is the king. When price doesn't listen to any indicator, then no one can stop the direction of the trend, and that time it is better not to use any divergence and go with the trend, because divergence trading is always against the trend. So let me explain here. How to spot divergences. I think I have discussed it several times in my previous videos as well, that when the price is moving in one direction and the indicator what you are looking at is moving in another direction, then that's a divergence scenario. For example, let's see this bar. This is a peak formed here. This was the close and my indicator value was here, and then here at this point what we saw is another peak has formed, which is a lower peak than this value from this point. So we have a down slope here, but the indicator is suggesting a different scenario. Indicator has gone up, so this is a divergence scenario. And normally in this kind of divergence, when it is from upper peak to upper peak, from upper peak to upper peak, we have a sell signal. So Yeah, so this kind of scenario. This is a normal divergence scenario. And there is another kind of divergence which is called hidden divergence. In case of hidden divergence, what happens that the direction of the arrows no, I'm sorry, this was a hidden divergence, what I just explained it, because the price has come down and indicator has moved up. So this is called classical hidden divergence. A normal divergence is when the price will keep on moving up, but the indicator will point down. So that situation will probably is here. We have one such situation here. We can see the indicator is pointing down between this peak and this peak. And between these two peaks, the price has moved up. Price has made higher highs, higher peaks. And the indicator has made lower peaks. So this is a normal divergence scenario. This is also a bearish divergence scenario. And you see how the price has gone down from that point. But this is a bit of risky scenario because here we don't know when this up move is going to stop. We are going against the trend. So my indicator is pointing down, my price is going up, but we do not know whether this is going to return from this level or whether this will continue for some time. So this is a bit of risky scenario. So a very tight stop loss has to be placed in case of these divergent scenarios. Whereas in the previous scenario, if we go back there, in case of hidden divergences, like in this case, the price has already started moving downwards. So a negative trend has been created already and we are going with the trend. Here we have a bearish signal. So we are going with the trend. So that is a safer approach. Sometimes this works, most of the time this works, and sometimes this works as well fantastically. But so we do not know. But this is a bit of a risky scenario. This is a bit of safer scenario because we have a clear stop loss position here because our divergence started from here. So if we go short from this point, we can keep a stop loss somewhere here and let the trade make profit and go. That we can decide later that how to take profit and where to place stops and all those things. But this is basically what divergence is. Now, the filter, that how do we know when the market is ranging and we apply this divergence strategy. And the only filter I can think of, the best filter I have seen, that is Bollinger Bands. So this is a universal rule. When the Bollinger Bands are contracting means, for example, it starts contracting from this point. So the bottom one going up and the top one going down, that's what we call contraction. And we can say a range market is starting from this level, from this point. And we can see also here that the market is ranging. There is no clear trend. And this is going on for some time. And then from this point onwards, from this bar onwards, this one, we can see that an expansion started. Expansion means it not necessarily has to be the upper one has to go up and the lower one has to go down. Actually, both can be in the same direction, just that it is not contracting. So actually it started from this bar itself and then once again this bar and then once again, when both the Bollinger Bands are pointing downwards. So we can say that a downtrend is in place or it is about to begin. At that moment, when we identify that a trending market is about to begin, we have to look at this indicator once again and forget all divergences. We have to see that whether this indicator is below this red line or not, this 10,000 level. So we just have to look at whether this indicator is below this line. So that means the downtrend is confirmed. And now we have to think about a trade where we can place a safe stop loss, something somewhere maybe in the a little bit higher than the previous peak, and then let the trend continue. Like here in this case, the trend continued. The indicator has always been below this red line, and we can get a benefit of this trending market. So that's the whole concept is. So the first rule is we are just basically first looking at where the market is in respect of the Bollinger Bands. So whether the Bollinger Bands are contracting, like in this case here, the upper one is coming down, the lower one is coming up. So that means we are in a ranging market. And in that, then the second logic will start that in that ranging market, we will look for a divergence signal between the price and the indicator. And when the market ends this range market and starts expanding or both going into the same direction, then we look for a trending system which will not look at divergence but which will go according to this indicator. So this is so far the very preliminary framework of the strategy, and if we can build something up to this point, and then from there we can move on to the trade management and how to take profit, where to keep the stop loss, and how to trail the stop loss as the market moves in your favor. So those kind of things we can start thinking about that in the next phase. But I'm very, very confident that this is the most practical and logical way of trading the market, and one system will never fit. No best system in the world will fit any kind of market scenario. So there has to be a different approach for different kinds of market, and this is, I think, so far I've got I think makes more sense. So just review this, and if you have any confusion about spotting divergences or any other thing, just let me know by email or over Skype, and I can explain to you. Thank you.